everyone, how are you today? Let's just give a few moments and let people jump on and join us. We are just waiting a few moments here. And I'm really looking forward to spending this time with you. Thank you so much for clicking your device button, your notification, choosing to join us today. We do these late night live streams with some regularity and have for many, many years. But throughout the last little while, we'll pop on during the day to talk about some other things that are really important to us and things that we think could be interesting to you, important to you. Many times, people reach out to me, you reach out to me, asking ways you can get involved in certain initiatives that we are a part of, or you introduce me to initiatives that you think that I and our team here should be a part of. I'm always grateful for that two-way street, that conversation. And this is a really important one to all of us, certainly important to me. It is music therapy. This is music therapy, so this is really exciting. It's Music Therapy Month, Awareness Month here in Canada right now. And the mission of the Canadian Music Therapy Trust Fund is to, well, a couple of things. Number one is to use music in the hands of a skilled professional to provide from some pretty specialized and important care to people. There is lots of data that shows that music therapy does work. The science is in. Music therapy does work, but it is still not widely recognized as something that I guess the governments are going to get behind right now as a possible treatment. And this is something that we are trying to break down. You know, like with many things, as you start to introduce relatively new ideas to people, it takes time to lead them to the place where they can be incredibly effective, and that's what we're trying to do here today. So it is Music Therapy Awareness Month. It is March in Canada, and we just wanted to spend a little time with you today with a couple of people who know quite a bit about this. So I'm going to bring others in so you don't have to listen to me the whole time talking about it. Chrissy Pearson is going to join us first. We've got Chrissy and Shannon who are going to join us today, but I'm going to bring in Chrissy for 1 second. Hey there.
Hey.
How are you? It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Chrissy is a certified music therapist and has worked in this field in many ways, in many, acute care, palliative care, lots of different ways you have worked in this business for sure. So, and you're somebody that I work with and our team works with at the Canadian Music Therapy Trust Fund. So it's just really nice to see you again via the Instagram Live. How are you, by the way?
I'm doing well. Always nice to see you. Thanks for spending some time with us this evening. This is great.
No, I'm happy to do it. Okay, it's Music Therapy Awareness Month. We've talked about this before offline. We've talked about this online, how we are we're not in the early stages of music being used as a tool to help people heal or to help people live quality of life. But we are still relatively new in getting people in maybe bureaucracy, government, to understand what it is that music therapy can be and how they can be leaders, particularly in Canada in this way. So it is Music Therapy Awareness Month. We are here to drop some awareness. What are you up to now during this month? What does this month mean to you and to what you do?
Yeah, this has been a really busy month. We've kind of ramped up what we can do in a month in terms of reaching out to people. We've got a new advocacy committee on our board of directors and got some letters out to MPs, MPPs to try and spread the word. I got to participate in the Canadian Music Therapy podcast a couple of weeks ago with Jennifer Shannon, who's the executive director of the Canadian Association of Music Therapists. That was a lot of fun. Our friends at Chorus and our friends at Stingray have put some ads out on the radio for us. So been doing lots of awareness stuff, which has been a lot of fun.
How much is the conversation, just for people who don't know you, how long have you been doing this as a therapist?
I've been a music therapist since 2002. Does that mean 20 years now?
Well, listen, my math sucks, but I do know that means 20. That's a long time.
I've been a music therapist for a long time now, yeah. And my work at the Canadian Music Therapy Fund has been over the past 12 years, I guess, in different capacities. Yeah.
So it's certainly changed a lot in terms of how many people know about it. Awareness certainly is a part of it, but also just reaching people and applying it. Can you talk about some of the changes in the last way? So that the reason I want you to answer that, if you're comfortable with it, is that so as people watch it and spend some time with us now, they can see that it's been a long journey to get here, and there's still more work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when I finished my degree and got my accreditation, there were 250-ish music therapists in Canada. And now there are almost 1,000. So over the course of 20 years, we've, grown immensely in this country with 6 training programs. It's it's one of those things where there are lots of people becoming music therapists, which you have a lot to do with now, and supporting our music therapy students. And what we need to do is catch up with being able to find places for these music therapists to work, because everybody wants music therapy. Um, it's really hard for people to find the budget for music therapy sometimes, or they just need to see it to really understand why they need to work this into their budget. So things have changed in a lot of ways. There's a lot more research proving why what we do is effective, why it works. Music therapists are reaching out into lots of different fields. So, we're not just in hospitals anymore. We're working with lots of different kinds of people. And now it just needs to be, in my mind, it should just be expected. If you've got a father in long-term care, you should just expect that that person can get music therapy. If you have a kid on the autism spectrum, you should just expect that wherever you're getting your support, a music therapist could be part of that support. We're a really effective method, and we're trying to get the word out there that a certified music therapist can be, really, really vital to whatever healthcare you need.
Yeah, and the certified music therapist, we talk an awful lot. Everybody does, or many people do, about the power of music in their life and the power of music that it has to heal. But it's one thing to feel comfort and healing from listening to music, but it is something completely different to be in the hands of a trained expert, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I always compare it to being someone who's physically active and exercising versus needing a physiotherapist, right? We could all benefit from both of those things. Sometimes people, all they need is to really use music therapeutically on their own. They know how to do that effectively, and it's really helpful for them. Other times you need a professional to help you tap into the properties of the music, or the way you use the music to help you do that really effectively. And our training in how music impacts, the body, the nervous system, the brain, the physiology of music, how it impacts us psychologically, learning how to work with people who have experienced trauma, learning how to work with neurodiverse people, learning how to work with people who are nearing end of life. We have all of that experience to help us really target music therapy to help different goals. So yeah, music is great. Attending a concert together, that's a therapeutic experience. Listening to your favorite band, like an album cover to cover, that's a therapeutic experience. And so I think, music's one of those things that we all have. We all can use it. We should be using it. And then sometimes a professional can be really helpful when you're going through something challenging, or when you're really needing support that a professional could help with.
When a professional can tailor to all the differences you're talking about, palliative care is different than somebody on the autism spectrum,
Yeah.
and in many cases there needs to be that kind of direct contact that makes this work. The other thing I really like about music therapy, and it's one of the reasons I wanted to be a part of it, is that it's kind. And I think that when we live in a culture where, as we've talked about this a lot, where things are supposed to be results based, and
Yeah.
this leads to a cure, and I feel like that misses the point of a lot of what people are experiencing in this life. And there are things that aren't cured. It's about quality of life. It's about that to me, that kindness part of it is really integral, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you nailed it there. And I feel exactly the same way. We sometimes put a lot of, not sometimes, as a Western society, we put a lot of resources and time and money into finding cures for things, and we need to do that. We should be finding cures for things, but we also need to live well. That person with cancer, yeah, they need their treatment, they need the research to help them, and they need the support to have good mental health while they're living with cancer. They need support to help them maybe have non-pharmacological pain relief while they're living with cancer. I mean, that's just one example, but you're right. We need more support in the world to help us live well, no matter what we're coping with.
Is this about getting governments to fund it, to treat it as a healthcare cost, and so people can have this as an option if required?
Yeah, absolutely. That, and along with a lot of other mental health support, unless you can afford mental health support, other than drugs, and we need drugs. Lots of people really benefit from pharmacological mental health care, but there's other options. But unless you can pay for them, you can't access those options a lot of the time, most of the time. So I absolutely think that we do need governments, we need insurance companies to recognize, music therapy, other creative arts therapies, and what we're trying to teach them, and how our advocacy committee is going to start to work as well, is to show them, here's the training that these professionals have. Here's the degree that they took. Here's the certification program that they have. Here's their credentialing that they have to renew every year. Like, we're not people just going around saying we're doing something. There's a lot behind us that shows how we are professionals trained to provide this kind of service. Because a lot of the times it's, we don't want to cause harm. Well, here's all the proof you need for what we learn and how we do it. We've got our certification number, and an insurance company should get that, right? They know what professionals need, and we're trying to show them exactly what the credentials are that we have and the training that we get, so that we can hopefully be at the table when mental health supports are being talked about. We want to be there with everybody else.
As you're reaching out to MPs, and I know that I get some messages as we post stuff on this social media channel, but as you're reaching out to MPs, are you getting a sense that this is landing a little bit more? And because I think for a big part is, in government, you need a champion. You need somebody to go in there and make this work. Totally.
We don't have a champion yet. This is really fresh. So truthfully, I'm still waiting to hear back from most of the content sent out there. So I'd love to update you in a month on that one.
Okay. So can you talk about the Road to Recovery campaign?
Yes, I'd love to. So we have launched our campaign for 2022. It's going to be a year-long campaign. We're calling it Road to Recovery because, for two reasons. We're gonna need lots of recovery right now. People who are emerging now from COVID. We hope that this is now emerging from COVID, and that we're headed toward some kind of new normal. And people need support. The mental health crisis needs attention. People who have experienced COVID, kids who experienced online school, frontline healthcare workers who experienced, 2 years of incredibly stressful, difficult work. We have gigantic mental health needs right now in across the world. So Road to Recovery, we want to help people through that recovery process. Road to Recovery also because charities were hit hard in the last couple of years. It's a hard time to be a charity right now. So we're also focused on recovering as a community and getting ourselves into that thriving place that we want to be. So Road to Recovery, our goal is $150,000. We're hoping to get there by the end of the year. And what we're pushing for is to sign up monthly donors. This is something we've never done before. We've never had a campaign focus on this. And it's pretty important for charities, especially small charities, to have monthly supporters. And that's it's really key, because then we can anticipate money, and we know that there's a certain amount of money coming in every month to help us, pay whatever expenses we have, to help us plan for grants that we're going to give. The bulk of people donate at the end of the year to get ready for their tax receipt. Doing it monthly is just a way for charities to really plan ahead, and it helps people budget as well. Giving a little month is always a little easier than trying to give a big donation at the end of the year when you're also trying to buy gifts for everybody and plan a vacation for the winter or whatever you do in December. So Road to Recovery, we want to start emerging from this pandemic together, help each other to be well, use music to do that. And in order to achieve that, we're hoping people will sign up, monthly donors. It's a really easy thing to do. Go to our website, musictherapyfund.ca. There's a donate button, and it'll take you through the steps. We've got some nice incentives too. We've got some cool buttons people can get. We've got some awesome events coming up that people can get tickets for. So Road to Recovery, we really want people to come on this journey with us. That's the other reason for the name. We're really hoping that this will be a journey we can take with people.
I always think about how many subscriptions we have on our phone from apps and things like that we forget we're paying until you look at the bill, right? And it's like, let's just take one of those and put this here. Take one of those and put this here. Can you tell us, I'm going to bring in Shannon. Tell us a little bit about Shannon.
Yeah, so Shannon Robinson's an amazing certified music therapist in Calgary. She works for JB Music Therapy, which is a music therapy company out there that serves lots of different healthcare organizations. Part of what we're raising money for with Road to Recovery is to give some grants to music therapists to provide free music therapy for frontline healthcare workers. And 2 years ago, we did that for the first time, and Shannon's company was one of the recipients of one of those grants.
Let's bring her in to tell
Yeah,
us a little bit more about that.
and tell you about how that happened and how great it was.
There we go. Okay, so we've made the. Hey, Shannon, how are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Really well. Nice to see you. So that's the early introduction to you. Can you tell us a little bit more about the project?
Yeah. So we were really excited when we saw that there was this grant opportunity to support frontline workers. It's a population, if you will, or a demographic that has not received a lot of support in the last little while and have been working, so incredibly hard, right? So they're working with patients in hospitals, they're working with residents in long-term care, and so they're enduring all that stress on top of their personal lives. So they were all going through what everyone else was going through personally, and then having to also support patients and residents. So I thought, we thought it was just this really great opportunity to find a source of funding to support them where they didn't also have to find their source of funding, as Chrissy alluded to earlier, about just like finding support in that way for programs. And so we really are, the company I work for, we jumped on this opportunity because we work so much with these folks, and we just wanted to provide another outlet, another way to support them and provide these great tools through music therapy, just to see how they can integrate that into their lives and reduce their own stress or support their coping techniques that they already use, just find new ways to feel better, to support their own wellness during these wild times.
Frontline workers, as we all know, have always been there for us. But this particular run, the last couple of years, we are, I don't have a lot of faith in crony capitalism to adjust, but we are beginning to understand what is really a frontline worker, and it's people in many parts of the supply chain in our lives. And because it was relentless, and because it became politicized, and because there were so many pushes and pulls, it's a pretty unique group of people and because so many in the grocery are underpaid, and then the grocery companies are throwing them under the bus again now, it's such a unique group of people, and within that group there's so much diversity for need. How do you figure out what the program is to do this?
So in our case, we partnered with a long-term care organization in Calgary and talked to them a little bit about what they thought the needs would be for their staff. Because as you said, everything is unique. Everyone's unique. And so we really wanted to see what this particular organization could need or want. And they have many sites across Calgary and Alberta. And so there were a number of different ways that we could go. Mm-hmm. And we provided these sessions, but it really was like led by the client, if you will, or the frontline worker, right? So they all came in with different needs and different wants from the sessions, and I think that's really key, the personalization, to say, okay, we have these tools, we know what music therapy can do. These are some avenues we can go down, but what feels right to you?
Right. You've been doing this for a long time as well, over 20 years.
Yeah.
Both of you got into this when the conversation around music therapy was practically non-existent outside of its own small community. How did you get into this? Why did you get into this?
So I fell into it. I did music growing up, all the band stuff, playing piano as a kid, finished high school and had no desire for a career in music at all. So it just kind of landed in my lap, and I learned about the Bachelor's in Music Therapy program in Vancouver. And it just was this beautiful blend of using music, which was like such a huge love of mine, and working with people and using it in a way that was going to empower other folks, that was going to just be helpful. That's sort of the Coles Notes of my story.
And how much have you seen it? Go ahead, Chrissy.
I was going to say, it's pretty much my story too. Yeah. very similar. Just loved music, always was involved in music, never saw myself as a performing artist, and thought I was going to be a social worker. And my mom came home and said, "Oh, I heard about this cool program." So it fell in my lap as well. Just a great fit. Yeah.
Especially when you find that music can be like, you know, the thing that you really need, right?
Yeah.
So this is the thing that I use before I go to work every day. Because you know the power of melody and the vibrations and sound healing and all that, which has become real. As the two of you have been doing this for some time and seen the conversation grow, what are some of the big misconceptions about what you do to help people understand it a bit more?
You want me to go first, Shannon? I'll give
Sure, yeah.
one misconception. My favorite one I do some work at Baker Center in Toronto, as well as my job with the fund. And one of the biggest misconceptions is that music therapy is so much fun. Because people see you walking around with a guitar or a cart of percussion instruments or whatever, and they say, "Oh, you're having so much fun. That's so great." And I love that because, you know, yes, there's sometimes an element of fun in what we're doing, but often it's pretty hard work. And, you know, I'm headed up to the palliative care unit to sit by someone's bedside who's dying. And, you know, maybe there's some aspect of enjoyment there, but there's also processing grief and, you know, looking back at life and creating legacy for loved ones. And most of the time that's not necessarily fun work. So I think the fun factor is a misconception sometimes.
Yeah, I would agree. And we often get thanked for volunteering and showing up and playing music for, "Oh, isn't that nice that you came to volunteer your time and just play for folks." So we get that often too.
Well, you got to get paid. Work is work. You got to get paid, right?
That is at the charity all the time. So we get calls for, you know, can you help us find a volunteer? And so educating people that, you know, we're actually professionals that are trained to do this, and yes, we do need to be paid for our work. That's a big one. Yeah.
I mean, the amount of grief you have to process on a human being level is immense, and you're often there when the families aren't there, when people go home, and everybody has their own level of grief, of course. But I just wonder how you process it, how you are able to manage it, and how challenging that is.
Well, therapists should all have their own therapists. I'm a big believer in having a therapist. And so, you know, and I often talk about my work when I'm with my therapist. We also are required to have supervision to be professional therapists. You should be getting supervision where you talk about what you're going through and how you're working with your clients. The other one for me is just taking a bit of time after my sessions to take a breath and give a bit of space for what just happened. And that's a big one for me, is just remembering to take a beat in between sessions. I don't know, Shannon, is there anything that you do to help yourself through that stuff?
Ditto, all those things. And, you know, I would also say that music does a lot of the heavy lifting, but it needs to be done right. So again, using a certified music therapist that knows what songs to play or what not to use, or what to do in a session, or how to help a patient process that. I think that's a big thing. But luckily, music has this amazing power to speak for us, right? And do some of that hard work.
When we announced the scholarship a few years ago, and a question I got a lot, and what I see now popping up in some of the comments here, is qualifications. What is required for somebody to want to become a music therapist?
Yeah, I can take that one. So in Canada, minimum bachelor degree in music therapy. There's also master's level training. And you then go through an internship and a certification exam. And once you've done all of that, hopefully you pass and get the credential MTA, Music Therapist Accredited. Province to province, it's a little bit different, because in Ontario, music therapists can also be part of the College of Registered Psychotherapists. So each province has a little bit of a different system, where some provinces have those colleges, other provinces don't. But as music therapists, we've got a national governing body called Canadian Association of Music Therapists. So they are our professional body that, you know, certifies us, that we do our continuing education and maintain our credential and follow their code of ethics and all that good stuff. So in Canada, it's minimum bachelor of music therapy, and there's also master's level training. Yeah.
Somebody asked, Do you ever play metal? And I've asked that question before, and the answer is yes, right?
Uh,
There is.
Absolutely. We have, I don't know about you, Chrissy, but I certainly have used all types of genres. Genres I've even had to look up and Google to figure out what they are.
That's a biggie, because part of our training is sensitivity to all the differences in different cultures of music, different genres of music. So there are some genres that, I don't even try to learn. And luckily the internet has made music so accessible. It's so easy now to find music that people really connect with. Back when Shannon and I started, there was no such thing as YouTube, and we had to learn everything and like go to the library and find the book that has the music in it and learn the music. I feel like music therapists now have it a lot easier to access what we need quickly. So if we can't learn it in the hour before I go to see you, I can at least find that music and have it ready to go.
What's the year look like for the Canadian Music Therapy Trust Fund? Because we're talking about this, we try to do it often, but this is the month of awareness, right? We're, like you said, reaching out to politicians. You've got your project, which is happening in Alberta. There's stuff going on, but this is a heavy lift every day, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So our year kind of has a structure. We start the year off with, okay, what's the campaign going to be? How's March going to get going? Mm-hmm. And with the money we start to raise at the beginning of the year, we get ready to give out grants in the spring to music therapists who are going to work with the frontline healthcare workers. So, and this year we've added a new grant for children and youth who are impacted by the pandemic. So mental health focused children and youth who are struggling, we're going to have grants for them as well. So that happens in the spring. In the springtime, we're getting ready for our fall event. And I think this year, if things continue to improve, we'll be able to have our in-person Ungala party again this year. So Road to Recovery is going to take us all the way through to our fall event. And in the fall, we also get to accept our applications for the George Stroumboulopoulos Scholarship, which is exciting.
When is the next one again? Wait, what's the?
In the fall, applications. Right. Fall, and we.
For a second, I thought, oh my gosh, do I have to review I have to review resumes? I don't, not yet. Okay, good.
Yeah, you haven't forgotten anything. We don't get to that until the fall. So right. So yeah, we've got kind of this nice structure of, planning for each season. So we're right now in the winter planning for grants in the spring. In the spring, we're looking ahead to what are we going to do in the summer to do our October event. We get ready to give out scholarships. It's a lovely flow, and through all of that, we are looking for organizations that want to get involved with us. We're looking for sponsors. We're looking for monthly donors. We're looking for anyone who wants to help us out. Basically, the more money we raise, the more of these grants we can give. We can't make this happen without the people who sponsor and who donate. And we've got, some amazing sponsors that have already signed on for Road to Recovery. Including RX Music. They're an amazing support to us, an amazing sponsor.
Gina's fantastic.
Yeah, she's an amazingly generous person. We also have continued support right now from Slate Family Foundation, which is an amazing partnership with them as well. So we do have some folks who are giving us some continuous support through COVID. That's been more difficult. It's shifted a little bit, but I'm really excited to be connecting with new people and new organizations that might want to get involved and help us to make this work happen.
Is it Writing the Bones made a comment about the condition that their son has developmental delayed as well, enjoys music, but struggles with memory and therefore affects his ability to read. Could music therapy be beneficial in that case?
Yeah. Sorry, did you look like you were going to jump on that, Shannon? Go for it.
Yeah.
I was just like, yes, because it's sort of beneficial in any case, really. I mean, I may be a bit biased, but absolutely, because it's involving interaction and even just how our brains process music. Some of that encoding can happen too to support memory work. So even if you can't necessarily read music or learn it in more of a traditional lesson format, in a music therapy style where you have a therapist that's guiding that person to support the way that they learn, the way that they need, that's where they could certainly grow and develop and be supported. Yeah.
What are you learning the most about this as you've done it for a long time?
Great question. I think that what I keep learning um, is just how diverse our world is. Like, I mean, working in Toronto and probably working in Calgary as well, the diversity of people that we work with and how music is not universal. I think that's what I keep learning more and more. I hate that expression, music is a universal language. It's so not universal. Everyone's musical experience is different. And yeah, there's similarities between different genres or different cultures, but what I love is that music isn't universal, and we all have such special relationships with the music that's meaningful to us. And I just love, continuing to learn about how music impacts each of us differently. Shannon, what about you? I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, after doing it for so long, I honestly, I'm still surprised on a daily basis when I work with clients and just the impact that it has and how meaningful, even just a single melody line can be for someone. And that can just transport someone to a place, a time, a feeling that they used to have and where they needed that in the moment. And just seeing the after effects. I'll often get comments from staff that will say that a resident I saw 3 days prior is still talking about the session. So there's that after effect that's, it's like medicine, but it's good for us. And it doesn't always have the harmful effects, right, that pharmaceuticals could.
One of our comments that just came out from a friend was about how music therapy helped bring back someone's speech. And in a way, it was different than traditional speech learning.
Yeah, there's really interesting stuff about neurologic music therapy. There's actual little certificate course you can take to really focus in on how music impacts us neurologically. But the easy way to explain it is that music is processed in almost every part of our brain. So when there's damage in one part of our brain, music is still functioning in all these other places. And so with speech in particular, I had such an amazing experience years ago working with a man who'd had a stroke and had lost his ability to speak and wasn't really making any sound because any sound that he made sounded, not pleasant.
Yeah.
And after a few sessions, we started some melodic intonation therapy where you begin by making sounds to match tones and moving your voice around melodically. And once you're moving your voice around melodically, you can start to add sounds with that or syllables with that. And after you did that for a little while, you can start to add, words to that. Singing words happens a lot faster than speaking words after you've had any kind of damage to that part of your brain. So his wife came in one day and he looked over at her and sang, "Hello, Susie," and was able to sing it before he could speak it. And
wow.
that's a really, really amazing thing that all of the neuroimaging stuff, like all the MRIs and different scans that you can do now, just shows how your brain just lights up when it's listening to music, but when it's engaged in music, even more. It's just like lights everywhere. It's so cool.
What do you you may not have an answer to this, and there may be another department that handles this, but somebody had raised this question. If somebody has hearing problems, if someone's deaf, I know that, frequencies and vibrations reach people regardless, but talk about that, if there's a way to do anything there.
I don't have any direct experience working with people who are deaf. I have worked with folks who are hearing impaired, which is different.
Yeah.
And for them, it was a lot of pairing vibration and movement and using all of the senses when it came to music. I don't know, Shannon, do you have any direct experience with the deaf community?
I do with some kids, and in that sense, it's trying to find out where their hearing is at. So kids that have, based on the testing that they've done, they've just said this child is deaf. The focus really, as you already talked about, is on the vibration and on feeling the beat, feeling the different, even different instruments have different vibration and tones to them because of their structure or whatever they're made up of, whether it's wood or metallic, a metal or a shaker of some sort. So there's a lot of work that we can do with that population as well. And it also provides an outlet for expression. Just another way to do that.
So there's a lot of work to be done there. One of it is getting people to understand that this is an option and they can bring in therapists. Another one is to get people, if you're able to, I know times have been difficult, but if you're able to donate on a monthly level, so there is a stability in the work, which is really, really crucial. And the third thing is really, and this is kind of, I suppose, the big one, is getting governments, getting a country that likes to brag an awful lot about its healthcare system, you know, to recognize that this is a very meaningful treatment.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really nice to see both of you today. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you, George.
Thank you.
Thanks
No
for your
problem. Oh, so the website for people to donate, again, to get involved, how do they?
Yeah, musictherapyfund.ca. And you'll Road to Recovery, you'll see the donate button. I forgot to mention, I'll really quickly mention Tuesday next week, the El Macombo. We are going to be part of the Lemon Stage concert that night, and tickets are on sale right now. It's going to be so much fun. We've got Taya Marquis going to play, Shad is going to play, Ferraro, and there's a special guest coming. So it's kind of our kickoff event for Road to Recovery, and yeah, people should, that's on our website as well, come out to the Lemon Stage on Tuesday. I haven't been to the Elmo since it was all revamped, so I'm excited.
You mentioned Ferraro there. Ferraro, those guys can play, and they play with all kinds of musicians. So if you love watching players play, Ferraro is sneaky good. Sneaky good.
Awesome.
Nice.
I play live, so this will be a fun night. Sorry you can't be here, Shannon.
I know. I'll have to maybe FaceTime in. You can carry me around.
So
They'll
it
do
is
it.
live, actually. I think it's free. You can catch it on their live stream for free. So yeah,
Awesome.
you can be there anyways.
So thank you so much for spending some time with us today. We just wanted people to know it's Awareness Month, but even though the month is going to wrap up soon, that doesn't mean that the work stops, and it needs to continue. And everybody can make a really, really big difference. So thanks to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good
both.
night, everyone.
Right. And thank you so much for hanging out with us today, watching us in the middle of the day. I know it's the evening in Toronto. It's late afternoon, approaching the early evening on the West Coast. And it's nice to spend this time with you and talking about this with both Chrissy and with Shannon. We'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.